the best way to go about pitching to a network is always going to be networking. I didn't talk about this part as much in that video because it was about all of the like materials that you need. So again, I'll let you go look at the video when it comes to materials. But at the end of the day, most networks, production companies, studios, streamers do not take unsolicited materials, which means you can't just email them your stuff and you can't just go to the website and click submit and send them your stuff. That's not how it works because it doesn't protect them or you legally. So it doesn't work that way. So you have to have a go-between. You have to have a representative. And that representative can be an agent or a manager. Most new people are not going to have either one of those things because in order to have an agent or a manager, you have to be out there doing the thing already. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit of a catch-22. So the other way to do it is the networking part and the nepotism part that people hate so much about Hollywood. But when nepotism works in your favor, it's fantastic, right? So it's about who you know. And if you don't know anybody, then your job is to get out there and figure out who you know who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, right? Now you can have access to a lot of these people in a way that we didn't used to have access 20 years ago. LinkedIn exists. Everybody who works at all of these places are on LinkedIn. Instagram exists. TikTok exists. All of these people are on TikTok. All of these people are on Instagram. DM them. Do not, and I repeat, do not send them your screenplay. Just DM them. Say who you are and why you think your project is a good fit for them. And that's some of the stuff that I'm talking about in that video. You can't send your stuff willy-nilly to people. I have people who submit stuff to me all the time. My question to them is why? Because I'm not a producer. I'm not a producer. I'm not a manager. I'm not an agent. Why are you submitting things to me? That means you haven't done your research. That means you haven't done your due diligence, right? You don't want to be so thirsty for this thing that you do the equivalent of not reading. I don't know if they did this when y'all were in elementary school, but I had at least a few teachers make us take a test that had in the instructions that we did not have to actually take the test, but to just write our name and turn it in. But so many people don't read. So many people don't read that they were sitting there taking the whole test. Meanwhile, I had already put my name on there and submitted the thing. So the same thing is true here. Do your due diligence in doing the research for who you need to send this to. So for example, if you have a comedy action film, why would you be submitting it to a producer who makes dramas? They don't make comedy action films. Now, it doesn't mean that they can't introduce you to somebody who does, but if they're not your homeboy or your homegirl, why would they do that? You know what I'm saying? So if you're going to approach an absolute stranger and say, hey, do something for me, because that's what you're doing, then you want to at least have done your research to know that they're the right person. So it doesn't sound like you're saying, hey, do something for me. It sounds like you're saying, hey, I'm about to do something for you. I got something that's going to work out for you. Okay, well, I need to film it for a good pitch. You don't have to. No, absolutely not. If you want to be a director, film something because you're proving to them that you know how to direct. If you are a writer, you don't prove that by filming it. You don't prove that by producing it. That doesn't mean that you can't, but that doesn't prove being a good writer has nothing to do with, and I hate to say this because I am a writer, but that produced thing that you see is almost never equivalent to what was on the page. So me showing you my produced work doesn't prove that I can write. You looking at my script proves that I can write. You reading my script. So if you have a script and it is in a good place, and the only way you can know it's in a good place is if you get some professional feedback. You need to hear from someone who's in the industry, who knows how to help develop writers. You know, it's one thing to hear from your friends. Now, if you have some friends who know how to be critical and who know how to give constructive feedback that's going to actually develop you, then use your friends. But 9 times out of 10, most of your friends are just going to like it or not like it. And that's unhelpful to you. You know what I'm saying? You need to hear from people who can explain to you why something isn't working so that you can go work on it and fix it. So that's what we do at the Professional Pen. The link is in the bio to submit your script. We work on shorts. We work on television pilots. We work on feature films. Okay, great. So if you've gotten your feedback from a professional, you feel like your script is in a really good place, then the next thing you want to do is work on your pitch materials, right? You can do a one sheet, you can do a pitch deck. You can do, because you are a writer and not a director, I wouldn't do a mood board and a lookbook and all of that, because again, that's about what it's visually going to look like. And not to say that it's unhelpful. It's helpful. It definitely is. But you're the story person, right? So you want something that has some words on it, like the one sheet or the pitch deck. And so those are your materials. Once you have those materials, you need to make sure that, which is the thing that I talk about in the video, is these days they expect you to have some kind of attachment, which means a person who's done this before. Doesn't necessarily have to be a big name, but it has to be somebody who has done the thing you're trying to do, because you're basically asking them to give you $5 million, right? It's like going into the bank and saying, can I have $5 million? They're not going to just go, yeah, right? They're going to look at your credit history. They're going to look at your collateral. They're going to look at all these other things. They're not just going to give you $5 million. The same thing is true for your film. You're like, I need $500,000. Okay, great. How do I know that I'm going to get a return on my investment if you've never done this before? So you have a producer or a director or even an actor who has pulled numbers before, who can help them understand, all right, this might be a project that we want to get into. So you're proving that it's a good investment for them. But again, that pitch deck, those attachments, the attachments can help with you getting to the meetings as well, because if they are well known and they've been doing their job well, then they have contacts, because that just happens in whatever industry you are, right? Especially if you are in, like those executive kind of spaces or in leadership or any kind of thing. If you've been working as an engineer for 20 years, you're going to know engineers at other plants, at other companies. You have been to conferences, you've met other people in your industry, right? So the same thing is true in entertainment. If you are a producer who's been doing this and you've produced a few films, you know some people. You should be able to get us into some of these meetings that we need to get into. So that's the other reason that attachments are really good and can be helpful. But like I was saying before, you can have a great script, you can have a great pitch deck. Those attachments and that networking to be able to get the meeting in the first place is the hardest part. So that's the thing that you're always hearing people complaining about. It's not very easy to make relationships with people so that they will trust you and read your stuff. That's just hard, which is why people do festivals and they do competitions and they do the blacklist and they do this and they do that. And sometimes that works out for people and gives them access, but most times it doesn't, simply because there's 1,100,000 people doing it. You know what I'm saying? And they can't make 1,100,000 people stuff. It just doesn't work like that. There's just not enough money in the world for it to go down like that. So it's a game of risk. It's a long game. It's something you have to put a lot of time and effort into, but it's obviously possible. We see stupid stuff get made all the time, don't we? You should pitch. I have seen a lot of stuff at Bounce TV. Bounce TV makes decent stuff. It just doesn't reach a lot of people because a lot of people don't have access to the channel, me included. There's a show called Johnson on Bounce TV that I love. Okay. So much so that I was going to do an after show with them. I spoke with the actors and the executive producers about doing an after show for every episode, but I don't have access to Bounce TV. So we didn't do it. But Johnson is made really well. It's a small budget, but it looks really good. So if you have a connection there, and if you want to do something, again, you have to figure out the best place for your project. Not every place is the best place for your project. If you think about ABC versus NBC versus CBS versus Fox, if you think about each of those networks, they don't have the same kind of shows because they don't have the same audiences. So you're not going to be saying to yourself, like if you make something that's kind of like, a little on the edgier side, you're not saying to yourself, dang, I just got to get this on CBS. CBS doesn't make that kind of stuff, right? So the same thing is true for your film. You need to watch things that look like your thing, that feel like your thing, that are similar in story, that are similar in budget. And when you're watching those things, look at all the logos that come across the screen. Those are the people that you need to be working with. All of those logos, some of them are production companies, some of them are studios, some of them are networks. That way oh, they make the thing I make. Now you know who you need to be pitching to. Is it just that simple that, oh, now I need to pitch to them? So I pitched to them and they made the movie. It might not be that simple, but now you know who the people are. Now you're not just out here going, who would I pitch to? Now you know, oh, I would pitch to Vertical. Oh, I would pitch to A24. Oh, okay, I would pitch to Monkey Paw. But you have to do that research of knowing your audience, your budget, your themes, your genre, your format, and then finding other things that live in those same spaces and see those people who are making that stuff. Those producers that are listed, those are the people. Contact them. Contact those producers. Likely those producers belong to those logos. And because LinkedIn exists and Instagram exists and IMDb Pro exists and all of this, there are ways to get connected to them. Do not send your screenplay. I said that before. Do not send your screenplay.
And that's it. Want more content? Like, subscribe, and for notifications. Get notes on your script that get you unstuck at www.theprofessionalpen.com. I'm out.